morning, bro. Welcome to today's session. On our earlier discussions, we have just completed a discussion relating to time of supply of goods, time of supply of services, and change in rate of tax. Now, as part of today's discussion, we will touch upon on the some important questions which have already appeared. I'll bunch 2-3 questions together and bring it up as a single problem instead of doing multiple problems, practical problems. So first two I've just typed out. Maybe another 2 or 3 we have to take it up as part of our deliberation. Once that practical problems are all over, or situation questions or case study questions, how you're going to call it as. Once that is over, we will get into a regular discussion on value of supply, section 15 of CGST. Maybe we will not have, or today time would not permit us to discuss about the valuation rules, which we will reserve it for our tomorrow's session or next session. Coming back here, hope all of you could able to see the screens. A very simple question has been taken up. Our first question for the day. I want a lot of you to answer. That is the only way, a confirmation that you make that yes, the topic which is discussed is little familiar to you. Or are there any different views in terms of understanding? Yes. Many times we slip on the minor elements. Just take care of those minor elements in a more careful way. Coming back here, the question goes like this. Mr. R, a supplier of goods, has received rupees 25,000 as payment towards supply on 22/2020. The goods was supplied to him after manufacture by tax invoice dated 34/2020. The balance payment was received during 3/5/2020, and the total value of goods supplied is rupees 1 lakh, which is liable to GST at the rate of 12%. Determine the time of supply of goods. So we need to determine in the case 1 a time of supply of goods. Okay. Now, as far as case 1 is concerned, Mr. R, a supplier of goods, as supplied for this particular transaction. What is going to be your time of supply of goods is going to be the question. If you could able to answer it, yes, it would be great. Quick. We would discuss only case 1 now. Case 2, if you want, you read it and keep it. We will discuss sometime later. Now our focus is only on case 1. I'm receiving answers, but meanwhile, I also want you think this question from a 4-mark perspective. Think this question for 4 marks. Do I need to write something extra here? Is going to be a little important aspect. Now, in any case, Tenmuri, kindly check your answer. Pavitra, again check your answer. Vishnu Prasad, check your answer. Deepak, some connectivity is missing in your answer. Otherwise, your answer is one of the best answers till now received. Some small connectivity challenge between the 2 lines at the last which you have connected it. Something you have to write and say so and so it is like this. Jai Kumar, kindly check your answer. Shweta Manivanan, check your answer. Okay. Balaji, check your answer. Nandini, check your answer. In fact, at final level, is this question is relevant? I thought in my mind when I was texting. By the way in which a lot of you answered has given me a clear indication that this question still hold good even at final level. Actually, just for your information, case 1 is an inter question. Case 1 is today is not a final level question at all. But by the way in which a lot of you have answered, I could able to still understand that that little more level of understanding is still lacking. We always want to be at that earlier level understanding itself. Some of my feeling is like that. Ambika, check your answer. No. Now, I don't know why some of you all forgot. When it comes to supply of goods, there was an exemption notification 66 bar 2017, dated 15/11/2017, which came out and told that in case of supply of goods, the supplier is exempted from payment of tax on advances. Let me repeat it. Somebody, I saw an answer, I'm not able to remember. Somebody was saying advance will not be considered. Date of receipt of advance or date of invoice of this to whichever earlier, however, advance date to be ignored. No, no. In fact, how you phrase something is more important at your level. You would come out and write that same section 12.2, which would be reading it as date of invoice or date of receipt of payment of this to whichever is earlier. However, as per exemption notification, if you know as per notification, however, or if you know that it is 66 bar 2017 dated 15/11/2017, you can very well write as per this notification, all receipt of advances by a supplier, the payment of tax at the time of receipt of advance is exempted. Let me repeat it again. The payment of tax at the time of receipt of advance on 20/2/2020, no doubt, on 25,000, Mr. R, is he liable to pay tax? When you carefully read section 5 of IGST Act along with section 12, or 9 of IGST Act along with section 12, 9 of CGST Act along with 12 of CGST Act, you would definitely conclude yes, on 20/2/2020 he is liable. But will he pay to government? Answer would be no, because of there is an exemption given by government to a supplier of goods. So how my answer would be? In fact, the answer would be as per section 12.2, the time of supply of goods will be date of issue of invoice, provided the invoice is issued within the time prescribed, or date of receipt of payment of this two, whichever is earlier. However, as per notification, if you know the notification number, write the notification number. Otherwise, it is not required. However, as per notification issued by the government, the supplier of a goods is exempted from payment of tax at the time of receipt of advance. Hence, on rupees 25,000 received on 20/2/2020, Mr. R is exempted from payment of tax, the same will be considered at the time of raising invoice. And the invoice was raised on 30/4/2020, and the value will be rupees 1 lakh, as the tax was not paid at the time of advance. On 1 lakh, a GST at the rate of 12%, 12,000 rupees would be calculated. Let me repeat it. In fact, your answer now touched upon the section, touched upon the notification, conveyed that no doubt section says, but there is an additional exemption notification which gives a benefit, and then you will come. I'm agreeable to a lot of you came up with the right answer. Let me repeat. 34/2020, some of you directly pinged in. The dispute is not on 34. The dispute is on something else. If you got 34 out of 4, 1 mark is guaranteed. No doubt about it. No. But the rest 3 marks relies on your understanding, how you write, all that matter and all. Just that sometimes some of you are almost wrote everything correctly. More specifically, Deepak wrote everything correctly, but said no GST on advance received. The view is contradicting. Maybe that one line, if you would have added, you would have told the said the exemption notification by government or the notification issued by government exempts supplier of goods. That word is required. Let me repeat. I have highlighted many times. The supplier of goods is exempted from tax. In fact, only for that reason, only for testing you on, are you reading section 12.2 and notification together? Are you bundling it together? When you write it, are you referring it as, see, I can understand an earlier level understanding as, when it comes to supply of goods on advances, you are not liable to pay tax. Entry level understanding can be like that. I can very well appreciate. A final level expert understanding cannot be like that. Final level, this is section, this is notification. The section says like this, the notification comes out and gives me a relaxation. That clarity in thought, that clarity in paper has to be penned down, which is little important and expected at your level. If it is at earlier level, I will not press at all. Some of your answers are earlier level. I do understand for a lot of you, the portions are same. Many times we think, sir, same material, sir, same illustration, sir, everything is same. Mind you, when it comes to its testing, when it comes to its expectation from the valuer, both are different. It's not on the syllabus, it's on the expectation. With due honest, I can discuss with you for at least 1.5 hours. Normally 1 hour on section 15, subsection 1, subsection 2, and subsection 3. There are instances where same section 15, I would discuss for 2 hours, not exceeding anything. 1, 2, 3, that's all. There are instances where same section 15.2, we will 2. Section 15.2, inclusions alone, 5 inclusions. That 15.2 alone, we will discuss it for 2 hours. There are instances where same section 15.2C alone for 2 hours. It's only your bar of understanding will get raised. That's all. I am not pressing that you have to know so much, but start respecting how the differences is getting created between an entry level and an expert level. Let me repeat it. No, I got my answers right. No, I'm sorry. These are case study questions that linking is required. Moving forward, as earlier highlighted, you would refer to the section, you would refer to the notification and say a supplier of goods is given a relaxation for payment of tax. And finally, when the invoice is raised, at that time, the entire tax will be paid and calculated tax. Okay. So that was the first problem on time of supply. Mark my word, if this problem would have done once the topic is over, okay, once the topic is over, your understanding level would be different, would be different. This is what I've been repeatedly saying. I know by myself, but any case, I thought let it be experienced by you. You will know its importance. Now, me quickly coming back here. Some of you text. Jenny, you have to write only one word more extra. Advance received on supply of goods. Maybe instead of using a word straight away exempted, a tax payment is exempted. Otherwise, the answer stands as it is in a more comfortable way. Otherwise, all points it has been captured. There is nothing there is nothing more to add to this answer. One more, just a minute. Maybe this would be a better answer. Okay, some of you, in case you are in need of that answer. The, yes, moving forward from here, get into your next question. As far as the next question is concerned, Mr. S, a supplier of service, has received lakh and 50,000 rupees as payment towards supply of services on 22/2020. The services was provided to him and a tax invoice dated 34/2020 was issued. The balance payment was received during 35/2020. The total value of supply is rupees 5 lakhs, which is liable to GST at the rate of 18%. All we need to determine in the case of Mr. S is your time of supply of service. By seeing through the question, by reading through the question, we could able to conclude that this is going to be a normal levy because there is no reflection, there is no hint for it as a reverse charge. So we can proceed straight away. I think this should be a lollipop question to you. Maybe what expectations are high when it comes to Mr. R. Mr. S will be very smooth. Go ahead. Mr. S, a supplier of service, has received rupees lakh and 50,000 as payment towards supply of his services on 20/2/2020. The service was provided to him and a tax invoice for rupees 5 lakhs was issued on 30/4/2020. Of course, the gap between a payment received earlier and the total invoice, the balance money, was settled in the due course time, 3/5/2020. What is going to be your time of supply? Quick, quick, quick. Maybe 1 or 2 minutes should be a very decent and a sufficient time. I don't want, in fact, I don't expect a very elaborate answer. You can come up with your regular style of answering. Aditya, can you check your answer with numbers? With numbers, it would be little different. Vaishnavi, your answer is true and complete. Haripriya Mohan, answer is complete. Nandini, exemption the notification does not apply. Mention is not required. Okay, we no need to mention about that because it is not applicable. Prima facie, that notification is meant only for goods. So a reference of that terminology may not be warranted when you write an answer for this, unless otherwise the question tempts you. Maybe the question can be little reworded, saying that the company is of the view all those receipt of advances are not liable to GST at the time of receipt of advance, or they are liable only at the time of supply. Now, I'm not sure some of you, but for one or two, I'm not sure some of you have even went and explored this zone also. It was a conscious omission. If you all felt it is an unconscious omission, no, it's a conscious omission. If you carefully note the case study too, nowhere we would have discussed about the services is completed on this date. I'm not sure how many of you all confirmed or thought about it. Maybe because of the previous illustration influence, we all very comfortably went between date of invoice and date of receipt of payment. I don't think so. Section 13, which discuss about services, is worded like that. Maybe from this illustration, one of the serious assumption you will make is, for this illustration, one of the important assumption you will make is, and which will be also form part of your descriptive style of writing, you will come out and assume that the invoice dated 30/4/2020 is issued within the statutory time limit prescribed, because your time of supply will go for a ToS if that assumption is not taken. You are working on an assumption. We are carefully working on an assumption that the invoice is issued within the time prescribed. So that is the important aspect. Maybe when you write down those answers, I want you to put that words. If you carefully note, the date of completion of service is consciously not discussed here. So when it is not there, we will only take up a positive assumption. So why can't I take a negative assumption? Okay, you take a negative assumption. Nobody stops you from taking it, or otherwise assumption. The challenge is when you will say the date of completion of service. So that is the challenge. When you will say, so it's easy to take up always a positive assumption, where in which we would come out and say the invoice, the services are completed and the invoice is issued within the time. So coming back here, because that time limit prescription, that reference, all that becomes form part of your answer. Shweta, check your answer. Shweta, check your answer completely. Janani, yes, check your answer. Kirtana, Gajendra, check your answer. Sai Subramaniam, along with this, you should also put up the respective numbers and calculate the respective taxes. That is the purpose why the value, the amount, and the tax rate is given. The idea is to make it up as a wholesome question associated. Maybe our discussions would be like this as per section 13 of CGST Act. If you want to be more specific, 13.2 of CGST Act. Date of, if the invoice is issued within the time prescribed, statutory time prescribed from date of completion of service, then time of supply will be date of issue of invoice or date of receipt of payment of these two, whichever is earlier. In case if the invoice is not issued within the time prescribed, then time of supply will be the day in which service is completed or date of receipt of payment of these two, whichever is earlier. The invoices has to be issued from date of completion of services within 30 days in case of all services and 45 days in case of banking and financial services as per section 31 of CGST Act. Whatever I closed is section content. Below that, you will go and write, in the case of Mr. S, the advance money was received on 22/2020 before completing service. The same would be treated as advance. For rupees 1,50,000, time of supply will be 22/20. It is assumed that the services are completed and the invoice is raised within the time prescribed. A tax invoice was issued on 3/34/2020 for rupees 5 lakhs, and the time of supply will be date of issue of tax invoice or date of receipt of payment, which is 3/5/2020. Of these two, whichever is earlier, which will be 34/2020. As at the time of advance for rupees 1,50,000 was paid by the supplier, on the balance rupees 3,50,000 taxes payable now on 34/20. Afterwards, you can calculate on that 3,50,000 18% GST closer. See, hope if you carefully note, first I have discussed about the section, then about the facts of this case, then about the advance, then about the invoice time of supply and how invoice will be. And then because I have already paid one tax on advance money, now my invoice will get reduced. I have also made a mention about it. That is proviso 1 to your section 13. If you carefully concentrated on that slide, the last but proviso, before 1,000 proviso, a lot of you liked 1,000 rupee proviso. Even now you refer that 1000 rupee proviso only. I'm not finding fault with that, but is it needed? You think by yourself. That is a beneficial proviso. When an advance amount is less than 1000, an option is given. I don't know why someone need to refer that proviso when it is more than 1000. Kindly make a note. That is a benevolent provision. See, these are all final level understanding. This point I would not discuss at an inter level at all. This is a hardcore final level discussion. This is a benevolent provision. There is a further proviso which comes out and says, if the value of money received does not exceed rupees 1000. My first question, when your money exceeded 1000, why you are referring to that? Sir, I should refer and say it is not applicable. No. Come on, by the plain reading, it is not applicable. No. The intention of that second proviso is only if it is less than 1000 rupees. I am not even on that proviso. I am on the earlier proviso, which said whatever advances on which tax already paid, that will be adjusted at the time of issue of invoice. In case if some of us has not given due weightage to that discussion. When it was discussed, now kindly pay weightage now. I am sorry, these are our finer points. These are the points that we need to concentrate. In fact, a few marks here and there goes down only because of this reason. But for it, otherwise everything would be comfortable. All of you landed up rightly. All of us are very clear. I've never seen, except one or two, they want a little more understanding. But for one or two people who flatly said it is 34, it's not 34. You have two time of supply here. There are two time of supply. One is going to be 20 to 2020, and the other one is going to be Janani. Answering would not be possible. If I start typing the answer, already it will eat time. If I start typing the answer, it will take a lot more time. It won't work out. I can share you how you can write it. Okay. கேள்வியும் நானே கேட்டுட்டு பதிலும் நானே சொன்னேன்னா அது வேற மாதிரி இருக்கும். Okay. So that's what. And again, the responses are all not attractive. I don't want to penalize somebody who is interested in answering. So consciously, I take up the question as a lost opportunity which is being given. And I have received a request from the academy also. No. People have told you have to take it up. Otherwise, it would be difficult. They highlighted. Personally, if you ask me, the responses, I am not happy still now. When closely to a crowd, more than half of 100 when we have, uh, the responses should be at least 50% plus. Consciously, the chat boxes are not open publicly. When it is being open, you will know what I'm trying to say. When payment is received in advance, the supplier shall issue a receipt voucher and tax invoice. One minute. That is not brought. Also. To the extent of your advance received, it will get adjusted. When I issue an invoice, to that extent, it will get reduced. A very specific proviso, which we have 213 to first proviso. Now, my intention is very simple. Give weightage to all this and then start answering your questions. Moving forward to yet another question for the day. Question number 3 on time of supply. In my view, a straight through question, a question without no difficulty. A question like this is just an introductory question. Maybe italic 1 is not your exam question, italic 2 will be your exam question. How do you know? I know the mental strength and the mental abilities of all these question paper setters. A few of them are all good friends. The fashion in which they think, the doubts in which they ask, and sometimes the level at which they deliberate certain topic, we could able to understand the in-depth fineness associated with it. I'll come to italic 2 sometime later. Italic 1, a straight through simple question, which comes out and says, RS& Co. has received goods issued by a supplier, which is leviable to tax under reverse charge. The supplier has supplied the goods and supplier has supplied the goods and issued an invoice dated 23/2020, and a tax payment for such goods to the supplier was made on 28/3/2020. Goods was received on 24/3/2020. Time of supply of goods is going to be a case 3, situation 1. Case 3, situation 1 would be time of supply. Quick, quick, quick. Yes. Two of you answered as of now. Both of you are all right. I think virtually somebody located can answer it. All of us can answer it. Hope my screen is visible. Quick, 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 quick. Mori, check your answer. Vaishnavi, in the provision, there is one more limb? Kindly check. Otherwise, answer is through. Shweta, check your answer. Sai Subramaniam, answer is through. Pavitra, covered on. Good. Kirtana, Gajendran, check your answer. Ganapati, என்னாச்சு? தான் first reply நினைக்கிறேன். Good. Deepak, good. It's complete. Shweta Manivanan, check your answer. Check your answer. Aditya, check your answer. Kritika Prakash, check your answer. எல்லாம் கரெக்டா போட்டு கடைசியில வேற ஏதோ எழுதிருவீங்க. Pradeep, check your understanding. In fact, about 10, 12 of you reached the level of answering style. Your answering style now reach a met expectation of your level, where when you come out and say, this is how it has to be understood as per so and so section, which says, in case of reverse charge, the time of supply of goods will be determined 1, 2, 3. Of this 3, whichever is earlier. Date of receipt of goods, date of payment to the supplier, or 30 days from date of issue of invoice by supplier. In other words, 31st day from date of issue. That is layman's understanding. You write it as 30th day from date of issue of invoice. The day after following 30 days from date of invoice, issue of invoice, of this 3, whichever is earlier. Okay. There, instead of that, missing that word 30 days, and if you put date of invoice by supplier, It will go back to 20th March. It should not be that. It is from 20th March. We should add 30 days. Then we will get the respective day. In any case, that's good. A lot of you got it right now. We'll quickly move forward to something. In the above question, due to lockdown in the state, the goods was received by the supplier on 'situation 2' or 'italic 2'. Okay. I just want you to come up with not a very detailed answer. Just consider this as an additional question. You wrote all. This is an additional question. In the same question, because of lockdown in the state, the goods was received by the supplier on 28/4/2020. What would be your time of supply? That's all. A very simple question. I don't want a detailed answer. We have to discuss something else. So, quick. '28/3, '23, or 28/4. Which day? 24/3. 24/3, do you all still think relevant? Manivannan 24, sorry, Sweta Manivannan, 24/3 has to be replaced with the italic 2 additions. I'll come to italic 3 questions sometime later, but that is a maximum that can be tested in a question like this. Ambiga, check your answer. The revised answer, Ambiga, correct. Nothing great. It will be date of payment. He'll make his payment. It's something like this. Goods received only on 28/4. Goods moved, so they initiated payment. Payment reached, but goods never reached. Goods reach on a different date. 28/4. 28/4. Month is different. So that's the difference. So 28/4 is the day in which they receive, but prior to that payment is made. That's why. This time, italic 3 situation, they are conscious. They never made a payment. Let first goods come, then we'll make payment. So in the above question, where both date of receipt of goods and payment date, if both changes, what would happen? Invoice that day only. Understand, some goods were locked and kept in certain situations. After getting the electronic pass, after getting the permissions from the respective jurisdictional collectors, then only goods started to remove. Or in fact, they shuffled the goods within that state lorry. Whatever you think, everything has been done. by the industry. So coming back here, in those circumstances, time of supply will be italic 3 situation. Somehow my gut feel this attempt will get italic 3 situation only, because this is the right time to test a question like this. Okay, this is the right time, and there is a new insertion of section. That new insertion of section as the new section that is inserted, through that section only one notification is issued, 168A in the act itself. As an ordinance it has been issued. Ordinance means you will go and amend the law that night with the power of the president. As an ordinance it was issued, tax amendment ordinance was issued, and that tax amendment ordinance goes and amend the CGST Act itself straight away with the powers of the president, which means your regular route no bill, act, president, law of land, that route will be cancelled and you will have it as an ordinance. Regular is you place before the Lok Sabha, approves, Rajya Sabha approves, then go to president. Time I want IPO to be issued. Call president, sir, pass this. Once he signs and passes, and president is justified in passing that, then that becomes a law of land with immediate effect, which we will not call it as act, we will call it as ordinance. At final level, that word difference is required. Ordinance is different, act is different. A new section is inserted. Maybe when we discuss that section, I will come back to it. That section will be roped in here. Okay. But for as far as the answer is concerned, answer will not change. A lot of you are all very clear when it comes to its answer. Date immediately following 30 days from your date of invoice of the supply, which is going to be 19/4/20. Yes. Hari, sorry, Vaishnavi, that 24 you are getting. Aditya is getting 21/4. 30 days immediately from date of invoice. 30 days immediately from date of invoice. The date of invoice is 23/2020. Date of invoice is 23/2020. From that 30 days. 30 day following date, 30 days following date of invoice. That is your technically the 31st day, and it is March month, so you will have 31 days. So your calculation should accommodate that also. So the 30th day will be 18th of April 2020. Okay. And the 30th day, let me repeat, the 30th day from your invoice will be 18th April 2020. So next day, 19/4/2020 is, in my view, is going to be your time of supply. Okay. Some of you all getting 24, some of you all getting 21/4. I don't know how, but a lot of you all getting 19/4 only. Okay. A lot of you all getting 19/4, but just be clear there alone. Date of invoice plus already there is 11 days. So about 12 days is covered here itself. Next month, 18 days if I take, I would get the total of 30 days. Next day, 31st day, which will be, yes, Gopika, you have raised your hand. Lay down. Okay. Done. Yes. We'll move forward towards the next question. Akbar Travels India Private Limited has received services from Akbar Travel Inc. in relation to for dollars 15,000. Services completed on Akbar Travels India Private Limited has received services from Akbar Travels Inc. in relation to tour package services for $15,000. Exchange rate is rupees 75 per dollar. Maybe the importance of the exchange rate, which date I should take, all that will be more relevant to us after valuation. Now it will not be little important to us. Uh, Coming back here, services completed on 24/1/2020. Invoice was issued on 26/1/2020. Payment to the supplier was made on 21/2/20. Okay. Determine time of supply of service. In my view, an easy entry. We are here not for the question one, we are here for the question two, which I'm about to ask. So, Pavitra, there is no hurry. Not Pavitra. Sorry. Preeti, there is no hurry. Read the question once and then give me an answer. I am not pushing, none of you I am pushing. I am giving you your enough 3 minutes. 3 minutes alone can be given to this question. Shweta Manivan, good, correct answer. I made a mistake. I should have told this problem is for 4 marks. Okay. Majority of it like that only. But this is a question that would be tested for 4 marks. So accordingly, you make your answers. prepare your answers. Do we need to add any point here? Do we need to add any other point there? Honestly, all of you answer me. In anywhere in the question, okay, it is a forward charge or reverse charge is mentioned. Does anywhere in the question, is it forward charge or reverse charge is mentioned? It is not mentioned. Correct? Yes. Then your first answer should be this transaction is leviable to tax under forward charge or reverse charge. That should not be your first discussion. Having decided that, then only you can come to what? Time of supply. Can you able to take the loop? See, understand case study question preferably from CMA perspective or a CA perspective. Case study question, we all think that is something separate. No. Where 2-3 topics are brought together at a parallel level. Here, compare it with the previous problem. In the previous problem, there would be a loop to you to say that it is reverse charge. Let me repeat. A question somewhere told this is tax under reverse charge. So usage of section 13(3) is admitted. Come back to this question. Does anywhere a pinch of doubt is there? Is it reverse charge or forward charge? How you are freezing? See, my only point here is start thinking in that way. Why we are going to 13(3? Sir, pona problem 13(3. Sir, adinala in the problem 13(3. No, it's not like that. Your conclusion. See, this position all of you have taken at your conscious level. You read Akbar Travels, you read Akbar Travels India Private Limited, you read Akbar Travels USA, import of service, RCM applicable, so 13(3. So you started the answer with 13(3. But till now you analyze, no, that is not in the paper. My view is that should come for paper. That point should come in the paper. Here you have a transaction between a supplier located in taxable territory and a recipient located in non-taxable territory. The said transaction would be qualified as import of service. In case of import of service, as per section 5(3), the recipient is liable to pay tax under reverse charge. Hence, time of supply will be determined as per section 13(3). After that, you have to come to 13(3). Understand why we are doing this problem. That link, it should strike to you. It should strike to you. Sir, how it will strike to me? It will strike to you when you start reading problems, when you start writing problem, when you start practicing it, only it will come. Until that time, by seeing the question, it should come to me in Jnana Udayam, nothing would come. Nothing means nothing would come. Consciously, I'm again repeating it. A first discussion. A lot of you got your answers right. I'm not finding fault with your answer at all. All of your answers are all right. But my first question is, how you jumped into 13(3? You did something in your mind, no? That how many of us recorded it in the paper? This is called as a gap in between what you think and what you write. Mark my word, everybody of you who came to 13(3, all of you know this is reverse charge liability. All of you know there is something called as a notification for this. All of you know 5(3). Whatever I have discussed, all of you know. There's nothing, no one is not aware of all this and all. But your answering style has to originate from there. Sir, if the section would have told reverse charge, If the section would have used the word 13.3, no, stay clear. Maybe this is your difference between a 2-mark question and a 4-mark question. When it is 2-mark, I will straight away test you on the provision. When it is 4-mark, I will keep quiet. Are you coming into the correct provisions after enough understanding? In any case, come back here. First, you will make a reference that it is an import of service. Akbar Travels India Private Limited is liable under reverse charge, and the time of supply will be determined as per section 13.3. Once you concluded that aspect, then determine your time of supply. A lot of you landed up with the right answer. I'm not finding fault with that at all. Maybe few of you had that thought. Supplier is located outside India. See, you wrote supplier located outside India. Add 1 or 2 lines. Recipient located in India. It is an import of service. If you, in fact, you have to add after place of the supply topic, you'll add that word also. Place of supply is in India. It's an import of service. Hence, yes. Aditya, check your answer. 13.2 applicable or 13.3 applicable? Kindly check. Same Mori, check your answer. All of you are all very aggressive on associated enterprise. Many of you referred associated enterprise. See, now when you see something like this, associated enterprise discussion should also be made. Correct? That is italic 2 question. I am still in italic 1 question. Done. As I earlier mentioned, your answer should be framed in that way. First, you will discuss about the transaction and conclude it is an import of service. Akbar Travels India Private Limited is liable to pay tax under reverse charge. In case of reverse charge, time of supply will be determined as per section 13, more specifically 13.3. And as per section 13.3, date of payment to supplier or 60 days immediately from date of invoice of these two, whichever is earlier, is going to be your time of supply of service. When you arrive those dates, date of payment is 21/2/2020 to the supplier, and 60 days immediately from date of invoice comes to 26/3/2020. Of these two, whichever is earlier, 21/2/2020, there will be a tax liability on this transaction. In case if the invoice issued by the supplier is in case if the invoice issued by the supplier is recorded in the books of accounts of the recipient, of the recipient on 31/1/2020. Determine time of supply. A little variation in your question. The variation in the question is, in case if the invoices is hidden to the system on 31/1/2020, what is going to be your time of supply? Quick, quick, quick. Think about it. Akbar Travels India Private Limited has received some services from its own foreign parent company for which it made a payment. The services are completed on a particular day. The invoice is raised by the parent on a particular day. That invoice is recorded by the recipient in his books of accounts on another day. And finally, the payment is made to the supplier on a different date. 4 different dates you have. You have 24/1/2020, 26/1/2020, 31/1/2020, 21/2/2020. Now we are on the second limb of discussion. If we are done with it, then last limb. That's again easy. This limb is, we have to be little watchful and careful. That's all. I expect a question straight away from the facts with italic too. Vaishnavi, nice answer. Good. A lot of you got it right. Good. And your answering style are all changing. In fact, if you maintain this answering style, I think it should be sufficient. Good. I could be the change. I could able to see the change in many of your answering pattern itself. You start referring the section, subsection number, and the relevant content that is required from a statutory perspective, and then you step into the respective question. In fact, that is your answering style, and then conclusion. You can maintain this pattern. Okay, mark my word, one of the successful patterns when it comes to a scenario question, case study question, descriptive question, however you call it as. You can call by different names. Okay, if it is MBA session, they'll call this as a case study. If it is a chartered accountancy session, they'll call it as practical problem. Again, in CMA, we call it as case study question. Okay, as a CS perspective, we'll call it a scenario question. End of the day, it's a question, and the answer is there in the question itself. That's the magic. See, again, with few answers, I still not convinced on one point, which I told you. Many things you are internalizing. You have to externalize your answer. Okay. Sir, what is this externalizing of my answer you are trying to say here? Akbar Travels India Private Limited and Akbar Travels Inc. Both of them are AE, yes or no, associated enterprise. A very few of us alone gave weightage to that. We all know, very few of us alone in our answers gave weightage. Normally, as per section 13.3 only, it will be determined in case of all import of service. Because Akbar Travels India Private Limited and Akbar Travels Inc. USA are associated enterprise, the proviso would trigger or the proviso would be applicable, where in which the date of entry made in books of accounts or date of payment of this to whichever is earlier would be applicable. See, the final crux, all of your answers are right. Sir, understand, Akbar Travels India Private Limited and Akbar Travels Inc. is an associated enterprise. For 40% of you is in the mind, is in your mind that yes, it is associated enterprise. I want that to come in paper. When you write, ensure you write like that. Because Akbar Travels India Private Limited and associated Akbar Travels Inc. are associated enterprise, time of supply would be determined as per section 13.3 for so and so, all that you can write. Somewhere that recording is required, but for it, answer is true. A lot of you got it right. Your answering style is getting improved. Let me close this discussion with the last line. Again, an easy entry, nothing great. Yes, third situation, in case if the invoice is issued by the supplier is recorded in the books of accounts of the recipient on 31/1/2020 and a part payment of $7,500, however may be ignored, and a part payment of $7,500 was made on 15/1/2020, what would be your time of supply? Just in case of advances, what would happen? That's all. Italic 3 situation is your maximum testing in this topic. Sir, can somebody test more than this? One more situation possible because of the pandemic related matter. If you want, I will take that situation also. That will be the last situation. That only on because of pandemic it happens. Otherwise, in import it will never happen. Quick, 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 quick. Italic 3. So same services provided by Akbar Travels Inc. to Akbar Travels India Private Limited for rupees $15,000. Before completing the service, a part payment of $7,500 was paid. Service got completed on 24/1. Invoice was issued on 26/1. Was recorded in the recipient books on 31/1. Was recorded in the recipient books for 31/1. Payment payment to this invoice happened on, balance payment to the invoice happened on 21/2. Nice answer. Deepak, Lakshmi, Shruti. Good. Vishnu Prasad, involve amount so that that answering will be little different. Involve amount in your answer. No, no, no. Sai Subramaniam, some dates problem. Kindly read through the question once again. Some date problem. Shweta Manivanan, you just concentrate on the amount, dollars, and you can come up with a better answer. Your almost answer is almost about to get completed, but again, at the fag end, it took a deviated route. See, actually, here there are two time of supply. Kindly understand. We only want the two time of supply. Beyond that, nothing. Yeah. The first time of supply will be no doubt on your advance, which will be 15/1/2020, $7,500, date of receipt of advance. So, no doubt we will refer it as import. No doubt we will say it is liable under reverse charge. No doubt we will say 13/3 is applicable. As far as 13/3 is concerned, date of payment or day in which entry recorded of these two, whichever is earlier. So 15/3/20, sorry, 15/1/2020, $7,500 on that RCM is payable, no doubt about it. Very interesting to note, because the invoice was received on this date, invoice was issued by the supplier on 26/1 and it was received by the recipient and recorded in the books of accounts. Because if it is a AE, date of entry in books of account for the balance $7,500, it will be 31/1/2020. Reasoning for both $7,500 are different. First $7,500 is between your regular transaction, that is date of payment to supplier, or 60 days immediately from date of invoice, of these two, whichever is earlier. The reasoning for the second $7,500 is going to be from AE, books of accounts recording. The day in which you record the liability on books of account, that day it would be deemed, or that day it would be treated as your supply. So that would sum up the discussion. And the last discussion is not relevant. For that, fundamentally, I should change the question. This is only for question 4. In the above question, one minute. The above question, instead of Akbar traveling, if it is TCL, if it is TCL traveling, payment made on. So, hope you understand that question. We are again changing the payment details only. Of course, name also is getting changed because I don't want to alter from the origin, because then the first three questions will become meaningless. So instead of Akbar Travels, you change the name as TCL Travels Inc. USA. Of course, in relation to tour package, you make a payment. The payment in the original question, it says 21 to 2020. That should be read as 26/5/20. Okay. Because of the pandemic, because of this, that reason, they made the payment not on 21 to 2020. So first two paragraphs and italic 4, you have to read. Italic 1, italic 2, italic 3, you may ignore. First two paragraph and italic 4. Make the necessary changes, whatever that is required. Sometimes instead of Akbar Travels, you should call it as TCL Traveling. Instead of the payment date being 21 to 2020, it should be read as 26/5/2020. Yes, kindly proceed with your answering. Yes, quick, 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 quick. Vivekanandan, check your answer. Lakshmi Shruti, can you check your number of days calculation? Similarly, Pavitra, can you check your number of days calculation? Shweta Manivannan, the number of days calculation. Sai Subramaniam. Sai Subramaniam, check your answer. Content and all okay. Last answer, check. Something has happened. I don't know why. Kirtana Gajendran, your 60 days calculation, kindly can you confirm? Deepak, that 60 days calculation, I have a doubt. Deepak. Aishwarya, your answer is right, but 60 days calculation, some challenges there. See, it is not the 60th day. You will calculate 60 days, and it is a date 60 days immediately from date of invoice. Date immediately 60 days from date of invoice, which means 61st day. So from date of invoice, date of invoice date should also be considered. Date of invoice 60 days, next day morning, time of supply. Janani, check your answer, Janani. I don't know how you get that answer itself. See, consciously a month is taken, consciously a year is taken, just like that, nothing is taken. So be very clear. Just to hint you, 2020 is a leap year. So your calculation should give weightage also for the leap year. Leap year means 29 days. So if I surpass February, I should be careful. Quick, 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 quick. A lot of you are, I'm not getting consensus with a lot of you only on the dates. Otherwise, all of you are all on the content wise. Yes, we are here doing this problem only for those dates. Quick, 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 quick. Okay, I'll give you dates. It is 25/3 or 26/3 or 27/3 or 28/3. Among these four dates, only your answer is going to be. Majority of us is fighting only this. Is it 25/3 or 26/3 or 27/3 or 28/3? I don't know why some of you calculated 30 days and all. 30 days is applicable for goods only. Yes. 25, 26, 27, 28. Which you select, I will go by that. You all will know why I referred back some of you. Vishnu Prasad, check your answer, Vishnu Prasad. Kirtana Gajendra, check your answer for the dates that have been asked. Now my reply is for the dates that they have asked, I've been highlighting. Lakshmi Shruti, check your answer. 25/3, 26/3, 27/3, 28/3. Yes. January will have 31 days. ஆமாவா இல்லையா? அப்படிதான் சொல்லி கொடுத்துருக்காங்க. லீப் இயர். ஸோ 29 days. இந்த எஃபெக்ட் எல்லாம் நீங்க எடுத்துன்னு வரணும். Done. So 6 days you will have on the January count, if my understanding is right. Then 29 days you will have on the count of February, which will make up a summation of 35 days. Okay. After this, you will have a fresh 25 days in the month of March. That will be D0, which is your 60th day. 61st day has to be 26th of March. A lot of you got it 27th March. Some of you got it 25th March. Some of you got it 28th March. And a few of you got it 26th March. Some of you got it as a revised answer. After me highlighting it, revised answer 26th March. 26th March should be your time of supply. Because payment is not made within that said number of days. That's all. Beyond that, nothing great. So yeah, I know the that was a conscious highlight. Coming back, points for our discussion. These are all some of those questions. I have another one or two questions. Quickly, I will take it up before we move on for a winding up discussion. In my view, a simple question. R Limited goods for a R Limited has supplied goods for rupees 5 lakhs by tax invoice dated 12 to 2020 uh, for credit of 30 days to the recipient. On for credit of 30 days to not supplier to recipient. The recipient has made payment on 45th day and an interest of rupees 2,500 was charged by the supplier on 2/3/2020 and the same was received by supplier on 24/4/20. A credit sales has happened. For the credit sales, the other party has to pay within the time. They have not made within the time. So they have made beyond the time. So interest is getting cut. What is going to be your time of supply? A very simple question. Okay. In fact, first question is not our interest. First question is an earlier level question. Second question is our interest. Pick. First question, when you answer only, you can go to second question. It's very simple. After playing level 1 only, level 2 will get unlocked. Hmm. Quick, quick, quick. We have very little time. Quick, quick, quick. R Limited has supplied goods by tax invoice dated so and so, and for which the payment has to be made within this date. However, payment was not made since an interest was charged on particular day, received on a particular. Quick, 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 quick. Three of you answered. All three of you are all right. When somebody, people virtually located somewhere can answer, all of us can answer. It's only a little effort required from our end. Quick, 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 quick. Yes. We have to move for the second question, and the second question will take a little more time. Yes. Shweta, 12.6 or 13.6, Shweta. But for it, everything is correct. 12.6 or 13.6, that alone check. Otherwise, answer is true. So for the first question, the answer would be 24/4/2020, as usual, additional consideration, which was triggered subsequent to the supply event. So as the other party has not made a payment within 30 days, a small interest is collected at rupees 2,500. Time of supply will be 24/4/2020, date of receipt, not the date of invoice, because section 12.6 very clearly says goods, 13.6 for services. 12.6 very clearly says time of supply would be your date of receipt of goods. Here a little change in the position. This time we are not testing it for an additional consideration. This time we are testing it for a main change in the consideration. If the value of supply because of a rate negotiation increases from 5 lakhs to 6 lakhs, value of supply is getting increased from 5 lakh to 6 lakhs. So a revision in price required for rupees 1 lakh and a differential tax of rupees 1 lakh is payable. Correct. On 1 lakh, a tax is payable. What would be your time of supply? Situation 2, most important situation from exam perspective. Let me repeat, this is your case 6 for the day. Case 6, R limited, where there is a additional, it's not an additional consideration, it is your change of consideration. Understand? Change in consideration. Sir, how this change in consideration is possible? Later we will discuss something called as a debit note. To increase your value of supply, you will issue a debit note, or otherwise called as a supplementary invoice. Debit note, you can also synonymously word it as supplementary invoice. A supplier will increase his value of supply. I already billed you 5 lakh. Along with that, take this document also for 1 lakh. That extra document may be issued now only. Okay. Difference value of supply for rupees 1 lakh. Maybe if you want, I can also share to you. Debit note for rupees 1 lakh was issued on 5/3/2020. The debit note is issued on 5/3/2020, whereas the original invoice was issued on 12/2/2020. The payment was received subsequently, we don't know. But now the question before us is it going to be 12/2 or 5/3? Whole debate is. A little understanding of debit note is required. I'm sure all of you already at your earlier level read about debit notes in a very great way. Consciously, I'm parting with this question. I'm not going to answer. You can take a screen print of whatever you want. This question, consciously, I'm not taking up now. Read through this. There is a change in the value of supply. The value of supply is moved. The value of supply is going to be increased from 5 lakhs to 6 lakhs, which technically you're altering the original invoice itself because of a renegotiation in prices. Is it possible? In industry, yes, possible. Originally, when I commit, I thought I will do it in 4 hours, but after little more information, I could able to understand, no, this is not possible. It will take 6 hours. 6 hours means this is my value of supply. I propose for an increase, that increase is also get accepted. But the point here is, it all happens in different timeline. When it happens in different timeline, what would be your time of supply is going to be the question. A very important question, requires another 10 minutes of deliberation. I'm not inclined to press it now. Maybe I would recommend you to think about it. We'll take it up in our next session when we meet it. And I just get reminded while discussing, we have not touched upon place of supply. After our place of supply discussion, we will get into value of supply, because without place of supply, we cannot move to value of supply. So once place of supply is over, we will take it up value of supply. So that's for the day. Thank you all for an effective and patient listening. Thank you.